Okay, so stop me if you've heard this one before. A massive beloved franchise announces a reboot or, a series adaptation, and the internet absolutely loses its collective mind over the casting.
Oh, every single time,
Yeah.
without fail.
Usually it's because they cast someone too young or maybe too unknown or just, I don't know, completely wrong for the vibe.
And the comment section just turns into a war zone
What,
immediately.
exactly. But then every once in a while you get the news that dropped just a couple of weeks ago on January 6th, 2026.
Right. And it was the casting announcement that seemed to unite literally everyone. It was just this rare moment of total beautiful consensus.
The clouds parted. It was amazing. We were talking, of course, about the breaking news that Sigourney Weaver is officially joining the cast of Phoebe Waller-Bridge's Tomb Raider series.
For Amazon Prime, yeah. It just feels like a perfect narrative circle, doesn't it?
It does.
It's so satisfying in a way casting news almost never is.
It feels huge. It feels like the ultimate passing of the torch. I mean, you have the woman who literally invented the modern sci-fi action heroine.
Ellen Ripley.
Ellen Ripley herself stepping into the world of Lara Croft. It's poetic. It feels like the matriarch is coming home to the genre she basically built from the ground up.
It is poetic, and all that excitement is completely justified. But I think if we step back and just look at the context, the sort of dry data of it all, it's also astonishingly rare.
Oh, for sure.
We have to remember, as of late 2025, Sigourney Weaver is 76 years old.
76. That number just doesn't even sound real when you look at her.
It doesn't. She was born in 1949, and here she is in 2026, not just making a little cameo, right?
Right.
Not playing the wise grandmother who just sits in a rocking chair and delivers some exposition. No. She is landing a key role in one of the biggest action franchises on the planet.
It's incredible.
Most actors, and let's be honest, especially actresses, are gently ushered out of the spotlight by that age. But Weaver, she's gearing up for another adventure. She's packing her bags for the jungle.
And that longevity, that sheer staying power, is exactly what we're here to figure out today. Because when you look at her career on paper, it really doesn't make sense. It defies all the laws of Hollywood physics. She wasn't an overnight success.
Not at all. In fact, she was explicitly told she wouldn't make it.
That's the part that gets me.
That is the part of the story that I find most compelling. The mission of this deep dive, if you will, is to explore how a woman who was literally told she was talentless by her professors at Yale Drama School
Still can't believe.
managed to become a genre-defining superstar.
Talentless. I mean, can you even imagine being the person who said that to Sigourney Weaver? Looking back, it sounds completely insane. We're definitely going to unpack that disaster. But we also need to look beyond Alien. I feel like people get stuck on Ripley.
They do, and that's a shame.
We have to talk about her comedy chops, her really recent return to the stage as Prospero in 2025, and her intense, lifelong environmental activism.
And maybe most importantly, we have to understand her unique positioning in the culture. She's this fascinating contradiction. You have this woman from a deeply aristocratic, very industry-connected background who spent her college years living in a treehouse dressed as an elf.
I am still so obsessed with the elf detail. I need to know everything there is to know about the elf face. So we've got a whole stack of sources today. Biographical data, filmography, some really great critical reviews from The Guardian and The New York Times, and a few deep cuts on her theatrical roots. So let's rewind. Before she was fighting xenomorphs, before she was the undisputed queen of sci-fi, she was just Susan.
Susan Alexandra Weaver, born October 8th, 1949 in Manhattan. And when you say aristocratic, you are not exaggerating one bit. Her background is the definition of high-powered media royalty.
Right. Her father wasn't just, in the business. He practically built the business.
He really did. Pat Weaver. He served as the president of NBC from 1953 to 1955. But he was more than just a suit. He was a genuine visionary. This is the man who created The Today Show. He created The Tonight Show, the entire concept of the desk format that still dominates late-night television. That was Pat Weaver. And her mother was Elizabeth Inglis, an English actress who had studied at Rady, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. So, Susan or Sigourney, she grew up right in the absolute center of this world.
You would think that's the golden ticket, right? You have the connections, you have the pedigree. But despite having this, perfect setup, she apparently didn't feel like she fit in at all. And a huge part of that was physical.
It was. And this is so crucial to understanding her psyche. By the age of just 11, she was already 179 centimeters tall.
That's 5'11". At 11.
At 11 years old?
You can't even imagine that. Middle school is hard enough as it is. It's like the worst time of your life. Imagine towering over every single one of your teachers, let alone the boys in your class.
She's described it quite vividly in interviews. She recalled feeling like a giant spider, just all limbs.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah. She said she never had the confidence to even think she could be an actor because she felt so physically out of place. It's such a classic example of body image just dictating your self-worth at that young age. She thought actresses had to be these, petite, delicate little things. And here she was, this statue.
So she's this shy, tall kid feeling like a spider, just trying to disappear. And then at 14, she makes a choice that I think really hints at the actress she was going to become. She changes her name.
Yes, she drops Susan. And Susan is a perfectly fine name, but it's safe. It's normal. She adopts Sigourney.
Which is such a specific and kind of dramatic name. Where did she even pull that from?
It's literary. She took it from a very minor character in The Great Gatsby. Sigourney Howard, it's a very deliberate reinvention. It's her taking control of her own identity. She went to these incredibly prestigious private schools, Brearley, Chapin, at the Walker, but clearly she was looking for something else. She was looking for a character she could finally play.
And it seems like she found that something else when she got to Stanford. She started at Sarah Lawrence, but then transferred to Stanford to be an English major. And this is where that counterculture spirit really starts to kick in. This is not the daughter of the NBC president anymore.
No, this is the late 60s, early 70s in California. The whole vibe is very specific. And she completely avoided the Stanford drama department. She thought it was way too stuffy and safe.
She didn't want to do drawing room comedies.
Not at all. Instead, she joins this troupe in Palo Alto called The Company.
And this is where the mental image just gets wild. They were performing Shakespeare and Commedia dell'arte in a covered wagon. Is that right?
In a covered wagon, traveling all around the Bay Area, performing for free in local parks. She described the whole thing as outrageous. This is where she admitted to dressing like an elf and living in a treehouse.
I love that image so much. It's just so far removed from the Manhattan penthouse vibe you'd expect. It shows you she wasn't afraid to be weird.
Not at all. She was doing commedia, which is very physical, very grotesque humor, in a wagon. It shows this desire for raw, experimental, maybe even a little dangerous performance.
So she was on this other path, though.
Right. She was actually planning to go into a PhD program for English, maybe be a writer or a journalist like her father had been. But the academic route just felt deadly dry to her. She needed the chaos of the wagon, so she pivots. Hard. She applies to the Yale School of Drama.
And she gets in. Yale Drama, the Ivy League of acting schools. Which you'd think, okay, here we go. The rise to stardom is about to begin. But then you read the accounts of her time at Yale, and it sounds like it was a total nightmare for her.
It was a real struggle. And Weaver has been very, very open about this. She was not the star. She almost never got lead roles in the school production. She was the one holding a spear in the background.
And you have to remember who she was there with. She was in the same class as Meryl Streep.
Exactly. The context is everything here. Imagine being in drama school, struggling to find your footing, and Meryl Streep is your classmate. Meryl was the golden child.
Of course.
She was getting all the leads. She was the one all the professors adored. Meanwhile, Weaver's teachers were looking at this 6-foot-tall, eccentric woman and telling her she was talentless.
Talentless. I just can't get over that word. It's so final, so definitive.
And they explicitly advised her to stick to comedy because they didn't think she had the chops for drama. They couldn't see past her height or her unconventional presence. They basically told her, you're funny looking, so be funny. Don't even try to be a serious actor.
It is honestly amazing that she didn't just quit right there.
Yeah.
That kind of rejection from authority figures, especially at that level, usually just crushes people.
Well, she almost did. She has said that she only pulled through because of her friendship with Christopher Durang.
The playwright.
Yes, he was a fellow student and a playwright, and he saw what the teachers were missing. He saw the darkness and the absurdity in her. He kept casting her in his plays, these dark, chaotic comedies like Titanic and The Frogs, which they actually did in the university pool with Stephen Sondheim involved.
That's incredible. So that friendship really was her lifeline. It just proves that sometimes you only need one person to believe in you to keep the dream from dying.
Absolutely. And I think that resilience she was forced to build at Yale, getting rejected constantly, being the underdog, having to fight for every little scrap, I think that created the grit she needed for what came next. She learned how to survive in a hostile environment.
So she graduates.
Yeah.
She gets her MFA from Yale in 1974. She heads back to New York. She's doing some off-Broadway stuff, some commercials, and she even has that tiny, tiny role in Annie Hall in 1977.
A total blink and you'll miss it role. She's essentially a date for Woody Allen's character near the very end of the movie. She just stands next to him outside a movie theater. She looks incredible, of course, very tall, very striking, but she barely says a word.
But then comes 1979, Alien, the movie that changed absolutely everything. And the casting story here is wild because Ripley was not supposed to be Sigourney Weaver.
No, she was a total unknown. The studio wanted a name, or at least someone with a real track record. The role of Ripley was initially designated for Veronica Cartwright.
She was an established actress.
Very established. British-born. She'd been a child star. She was in the Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake. She had credentials.
And this is the part of the story that always makes me cringe on Cartwright's behalf. It's a true actor's nightmare scenario.
Oh, it is brutal. Cartwright flew to England, ready to start work on Alien, thinking she was the lead. She had the script. She was prepping the character of Ripley. It was only when she arrived for her costume fitting that she was told, no, you'll be playing Lambert, the navigator who spends most of the movie terrified.
Wow.
And that this unknown actress, the Sigourney Weaver, had been given the lead role.
That is a Hollywood sliding doors moment if I've ever heard one. I mean, can you imagine the tension on that set?
It must have been palpable. But that decision changed cinema history. Ridley Scott, the director, saw something in Weaver. The critic Peter Bradshaw from The Guardian put it perfectly, I think. He noted that Weaver's performance starts off very girlish and serious, but then, right before our eyes, she evolves into this toughly self-reliant woman.
That evolution is so key. Ripley wasn't an action hero at the start of the movie. She wasn't doing push-ups and loading guns. She was just a warrant officer trying to follow quarantine protocol.
Correct. And that's exactly why the performance works so well. It's grounded in reality. She plays it like a frustrated bureaucrat who is then forced, by circumstance, to become a survivor.
And by the time Aliens comes around in 1986,
right,
with James Cameron directing, the character is completely hardened.
That's where she becomes the icon with the pulse rifle and the flamethrower. Get away from her, you bitch. All of that is born in Aliens.
Right. Critically, that performance earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. We have to pause on that for a second because that is incredibly rare.
Almost unheard of. For a science fiction performance, let alone in a straight-up action movie, to get a Best Actress Oscar nod. The Academy usually just ignores genre films completely.
It totally legitimized the genre in a new way. It was a statement saying, this is real acting, even if there are monsters and explosions. Variety even said at the time that she was the only actress who could actually open an action movie on her own.
She proved it. She proved that a woman could carry a blockbuster action film entirely by herself, no romantic leads swooping in to save her. And that first film, Alien, is now in the National Film Registry. It's culturally monumental, and she stuck with the character.
She did. She came back for Alien 3 in '92, Alien Resurrection in '97.
And she even voiced Ripley in the video game Alien. Isolation in 2014, which was a brilliant move, bridging that gap to modern media.
She never looked down on the role, did she? Even after she became this serious dramatic actress. And speaking of being a serious dramatic actress, we have to talk about 1988. I call this her miracle year.
It is statistically improbable what happened that year. In 1988 at the Golden Globes, Sigourney Weaver made actual history.
She won twice, in one night.
She was the first person ever to win 2 acting Golden Globes in the same year. And just think about the sheer versatility required for that. She won Best Actress, a drama for Gorillas in the Mist, playing Diane Fossey.
Right.
And she won Best Supporting Actress for Working Girl.
The range there is just absurd. In Gorillas, she's this rugged, passionate primatologist living in the mountains of Rwanda. She's covered in mud. She's bonding with animals. She's fighting poachers. It's this incredibly physical, raw performance.
And then, in Working Girl, she's Catherine Parker, the icy, manipulative, high-powered corporate villain. She's all shoulder pads and a kind of elegant passive aggression.
It was such a flex. She was basically showing the entire industry, I can be the hero in the mud and I can be the antagonist in the boardroom. Don't test me.
It was a huge statement. And an interesting little bit of trivia, at the Golden Globes that year, her Best Actress win for Gorillas was actually a 3-way tie.
A 3-way tie. I didn't even know that was possible.
It's extremely rare. She tied with Jodie Foster for The Accused and Shirley MacLaine for Madame Susatska. But Weaver walking away with 2 statues that night, That cemented her status as an A-lister who could do literally anything.
And anything definitely includes comedy. I feel like because she's so good at being intense. I mean, that cheekbone structure just screams seriousness. People sometimes forget how funny she is.
Well, her teachers at Yale told her to stick to comedy, and in a way, they weren't wrong about her ability. They were just wrong about her potential. She has incredible timing. Just look at Ghostbusters in 1984.
Dana Barrett, the way she plays that possession scene, there is no Dana, only Zool, is both terrifying and hilarious at the same time. She's writhing around on the bed. She's levitating. She commits to the absurdity 100%.
She does. But the absolute peak of her comedy, for me, has to be Galaxy Quest in 1999.
Oh, absolutely. Gwen DeMarco.
It's a meta masterpiece. She plays an actress who is famous for a sci-fi role, who feels totally trapped by her legacy, and who is constantly complaining that her only job on the ship is to repeat the computer.
Look, I have one job on this lousy ship. It's stupid, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
That line delivery is just perfect.
Exactly. She is parodying her own career, her own lifelong association with Ripley. It shows this incredible lack of vanity and a great sense of humor about her own public image. Most serious actors wouldn't touch a script that so directly mocks their career like that. Weaver just dove right in.
She also hosted SNL twice, once in '86 and then again in 2010. And she's done some really iconic voice work, too. She was the ship's computer in WALL-E.
Which is another fun little nod to Alien to Mother, the computer on the Nostromo.
And she was the Planet Express ship in Futurama. She really embraces the sci-fi community. She gets the joke. Yeah.
She does, and that brings us right into the 21st century, where she somehow managed to reinvent herself all over again with another massive franchise, Avatar.
And she's reunited with James Cameron.
In 2009, she plays Dr. Grace Augustine, the brilliant scientist, the chain smoker, the cynic with a heart of gold. And spoilers for a 15-year-old movie, but she dies in that film. It's a huge emotional death scene.
She does. So naturally, everyone thought, well, that's it for Sigourney in the Avatar universe. Great role, but it's done. But James Cameron operates by a different set of rules.
He really does. He famously said, no one ever dies in science fiction. So for Avatar, The Way of Water in 2022, she comes back. But she doesn't just come back as a clone or a ghost or a flashback.
This is still the wildest casting decision to me. I love it. She played Kiri, a 14-year-old Na'vi girl.
She was in her early 70s playing a chaotic, angsty, mysterious teenager via motion capture.
And she pulled it off. That's the crazy thing. It wasn't just a gimmick. She really captured that teenage physicality, the way she would sit, the way she moved her arms. It was all there.
It just highlights her complete willingness to experiment. Most actresses of her stature would refuse to play a teenager. They'd want the gravitas role, the queen, the matriarch. Weaver wanted the challenge. She worked with movement coaches to literally unlearn 70 years of posture. And we know she's returning for Avatar, Fire and Ash in 2025.
But it's not like she's only stuck to blockbusters. She's been doing some really interesting TV work lately. Political Animals back in 2012.
Right, playing Elaine Barish, a former First Lady, a former governor, currently the Secretary of State, who ran for president and lost.
I mean, the Hillary Clinton comparisons were pretty much unavoidable.
They were, though Weaver was quick to emphasize the differences in the character's personal life. But the critics loved her in it. Brian Lowry at Variety said she was brimming with integrity, pain, and grit. It earned her an Emmy and a Golden Globe nomination. She just played the steeliness of a woman in power perfectly.
And more recently, she starred in The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart in 2023.
Yeah.
She actually executive produced that one, too. And she did an Australian accent.
Which is not easy. Australian accents are notoriously difficult for American actors. One slip and you can sound Cockney or South African. But the Los Angeles Times praised her for not overplaying it. And it was a really heavy, substantial role about generational abuse and family secrets.
It really feels like she's hit this new stride in the 2020s where the industry is finally, giving her flowers. In 2024 alone, she got the International Goya Award and the Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement at the Venice Film Festival.
And that Golden Lion is a very big deal. It places her firmly in the pantheon of true cinema legends. The Goya citation also specifically thanked her for creating complex and strong female characters. They acknowledged that she changed the template for everyone who came after her.
And she's not slowing down at all. We mentioned Tomb Raider at the top of the show, but in 2025, she made her West End debut.
At the Theatre Royal, Drury Lane, no less. Playing Prospero in The Tempest.
Which is such a perfect full circle moment.
It absolutely is. I mean, remember, she started out in that covered wagon in California performing Shakespeare for free. Now, 50 years later, she's doing Shakespeare on one of the most prestigious stages in the entire world. And playing Prospero, a role traditionally played by a man, a powerful sorcerer giving up his magic, it just fits her gravitas perfectly. It's almost a commentary on her own career, wielding this incredible magic and then knowing when and how to change.
It really is. Now, we've talked a lot about her work, but I do want to pivot for a minute to the woman behind all these roles. Because for someone this famous, she's kept her personal life remarkably stable and private. You never see her in the tabloids.
Extremely stable. She has been married to the stage director Jim Simpson since 1984. That is over 40 years of marriage in Hollywood, which is like a unicorn event. It basically never happens.
They seem like a real power couple, but in the theater world, not the Hollywood scene, they founded the Flea Theater in New York City together.
They did. And the Flea is known for off-Broadway, very experimental work. It just shows that despite being a huge movie star, she's still completely committed to the gritty, artistic side of theater. And they have one child, Shar, who was born in 1990. Shar is a non-binary author and an adjunct professor at Columbia University.
It's so cool to see that artistic and academic streak runs in the family. They actually acted together in a film called The Guys, right?
Yes, playing a father and child, which mirrored their real life, and Jim Simpson directed it. It was a very small, personal film about the aftermath of 9/11. But Weaver has also been very open about the struggles of balancing that family life with a career like hers.
Yeah, she talked about the guilt of being a working mother.
Specifically regarding Avatar. She admitted that she needed therapy to deal with the guilt of leaving her family to go all the way to New Zealand to film for months, right when Shar was applying to colleges. She said it almost killed her.
That is just so relatable. Even when you are Sigourney Weaver, the queen of sci-fi, you still feel that universal parental guilt of, am I being there enough for my kid?
Exactly. It completely humanizes her. And beyond her family, her other great passion is her activism. And this isn't just, show up for a photo op activism. This is deep, long-term commitment.
It really started with Gorillas in the Mist, didn't it?
It did. You can't spend months in the mountains of Rwanda with real gorillas and not be profoundly changed. After she played Dian Fossey, she became the honorary chairperson of the Dian Fossey Gorilla Fund. She couldn't just walk away from that world.
But she's also huge on ocean conservation.
She went to the UN General Assembly in 2006. She didn't just tweet about it. She stood up at the United Nations and outlined the threat of deep-sea trawling to vital ocean habitats. She's an environmentalist who actually does the homework.
And she also works with the Trickle Up program, which focuses on women and disabled people who are living in extreme poverty.
It all just paints a picture of someone who uses her privilege, and remember, she came from significant privilege with her father, to actually try to affect change. She understands the platform she has, and she uses it.
So if we try to summarize this incredible journey, we started with Susan, the giant spider who felt too tall and too awkward to ever be an actor. We went to the quote-unquote talentless student at Yale, who was completely ignored by her teachers.
And then to the woman who literally changed the face of action cinema forever with Ellen Ripley. But then, and this is the crucial part, she refused to stay Ripley.
That's the absolute key, isn't it?
It is. So what of Sigourney Weaver's career is that typecasting is a choice. After Alien and Aliens, she could have done 10 more Space Marine movies. She could have just been the action hero for the rest of her life.
But she immediately pivoted. Hard.
She went straight to Ghostbusters for comedy. She went to Gorillas in the Mist for serious drama. She went to Working Girl to play the villain. She ensured that the industry could never, ever put her in a box because she was always breaking the walls of the box herself.
And she's still doing it. Voice work, motion capture as a teenager, Shakespearean sorcerers, and now stepping into Tomb Raider.
She has completely avoided that aging out trap that Hollywood sets for so many women. She just finds new mediums, new challenges.
It really makes you think about that critique she got back at Yale, that one word, talentless.
It raises a pretty provocative question, doesn't it? If the industry had embraced her immediately, if Yale had given her all the lead roles and told her she was perfect, would she have ever developed the grit necessary to become Ripley?
That's a great point. Ripley is a survivor. She's defined by her grit. She's the ultimate underdog.
Exactly. Perhaps that rejection was the most important role she ever played. It taught her how to fight for her place. It gave her the toughness she needed to hold that flamethrower. And now, at 76, joining the Tomb Raider universe, she is actively rewriting the script for what is possible for actresses in their 70s.
She's still the one holding the flamethrower, and I, for one, cannot wait to see what she does next. That's all for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.